Adding large numbers in your head when you don't even have a piece of paper can be difficult. I have a method for you that will make it way easier. Just make all the numbers you need to add a multiple of 10. Let's take two 3-digit numbers as an example. 543 plus 339. Even adding these numbers on paper can be challenging, but rounding them up will make it much more manageable. In this case, 543 is rounded up to become 550, and 339 turns into 340. Now, adding these two is not much of a problem, so let's do it. 550 plus 340 equals 890. Cool, but that's not the answer to the original equation. To determine that, we need to remember how much we added to the initial numbers. That would be easy. We just need to subtract the original numbers from the rounded up ones. The results look like this. 550 minus 543 will be 7, and 340 minus 339 will be 1. Now add 7 and 1, and you'll get 8. That's how much extra we have in our rounded up sum. So the only thing left to do now is subtract 8 from 890, and you'll get your final result. 890 minus 8 is 882, and the answer is 543 plus 339 is 882. Finding any percentage that can be divided by 5 of any number using just your head is actually no big deal if you know your times tables well enough. Say you see a 5% discount to something you want to buy in a store, and you'd like to know the exact amount of money you're going to save. Let's count. Let's assume your purchase without the discount is $142. You need to determine 5% of that sum. First, move the decimal point left by 1 digit, which would give you 14.2. Now divide this number by 2, and you'll get 7.1, which is also the answer to your question. The principle is simple. Finding 10% of any amount is easy, because you only need to move the decimal point left by 1 place, which we did in our first step. And 5% is 10% divided by 2, right? So that's why we divided the resulting sum by 2 as well. Finding any percentage that's a multiplier of 5 can be done in a more or less similar way. Let's take 35% of 324 as another example. Again, move the decimal point left by 1 place, getting 32.4. Now, you need to do 2 different actions with this number. First, multiply it by 3, which will get you 97.2. Second, divide the same number by 2, resulting in 16.2. And now, all that's left to do is add these numbers. 97.2 plus 16.2 equals 113.4. That's your answer. 35% of 324 is 113.4. Let me explain in case you didn't get all these calculations. First things first, you divide the number by 10 and move the decimal point left. Then, you need to multiply your number by 3.5. It's not easy to do it in your head, so you separate the numbers before and after the decimal point. First, you multiply your number by 3, and then by 0.5. To multiply any number by 0.5, you actually need to divide it by 2, since 0.5 is half of your number. And then, when you're done with all the multiplications, just add the results to get your initial number multiplied by 3.5. This might sound complex at first, but if you practice this method a bit, you'll find it very easy to apply. Now let's get away from complex calculations and have some fun instead. You've been told otherwise, but you can prove that 2 plus 2 might actually equal 5. Here's the simplest method to do so. Disclaimer, don't try to do this in your math class. So, we have the universal truth that 0 equals 0. Now, 0 can be a result of subtracting a number from itself. Let's take numbers 4 and 10 for our case, and we'll have this equation. 4 minus 4 equals 10 minus 10. Taking it one step further, 4 can be written as 2 to the power of 2, and 10 can be written as 2 times 5. In the end, we get this equation. 2 to the power of 2 minus 2 to the power of 2 equals 2 times 5 minus 2 times 5. Next, in math terms, we can simplify it by using brackets, and here's what we get. 2 minus 2 times 2 plus 2 equals 5 times 2 minus 2. Again, according to the rules of math, we can cancel 2 minus 2 on both sides, and the result will be 2 plus 2 equals 5. Yeah, that's how you prove the impossible. Math can do incredible things. Okay, getting back to real math tricks. Squaring numbers after 10 can be a pain, but there's an easy way to square any two-digit number that ends in 5. Let's take 45 as an example. First, you need to multiply the first digit by itself plus 1. That is, 4 plus 1 is 5. So you need to multiply 4 by 5, getting 20. Now add 25 at the end, and you get 2025. That's it. Here's your answer. 45 squared is 2025. Check it with a calculator if you don't believe me. A simple way to multiply any, and I mean any at all, number by 5 has probably never been mentioned to you at school. There's a slight difference in methods depending on whether the number is even or odd. Let's start with even numbers. Say you have to multiply 3,566 by 5. First, divide the number by 2, getting 1,758. Now add a 0 to it, and you've got your answer, 17,580. Now let's try odd numbers. We'll take 2,463 as an example. First of all, subtract 1 from the number, getting 2,462. Now divide it by 2 again, resulting in 1,231. And then, instead of a 0, put a 5 at the end, which will get you 12,315. This is your answer. 2,463 times 5 equals 12,315. All right. Now I've got a puzzle for you. See if you can solve it in 10 seconds. You have an equation made of matchsticks, which reads 2 equals 6. You need to move just one matchstick to make the equation true. The timer is set. Again, this is a puzzle, so there's no conventional solution to it. If you move one matchstick from the left side and put it so that its middle is on top of the 1 on the right side, you'll get a square root symbol, and thus the equation is true. 1 equals the square root of 1. But there's also a second solution. You can move one of the matches forming a V in the right part so that they form an X instead. This way, you'll get 11 written in Arabic numerals that equals 11 written in Roman numerals. Problem solved. Let's have another math riddle, shall we? A book costs $1 plus half its price. How much does the book cost? I'll give you 10 seconds again, or just pause the video if you need more time. To solve this riddle, you need to build an equation where B is the cost of the book, and you have to find it. The equation will look like this. B equals 1 plus B over 2. Because to find B, you need to add 1 and half the B. To make it simple, let's write B as B over 2 plus B over 2 in the left side, getting B over 2 plus B over 2 equals 1 plus B over 2. Now we can transfer B over 2 from the right side over to the left and get B over 2 plus B over 2 minus B over 2 equals 1. Subtracting B over 2 from itself leaves us with B over 2 equals 1. So the only thing left to do is multiply 1 by 2, and you'll get B. The answer is B equals 2. Now, if you solve this puzzle on your own, you just might get to Oxford University. In the finals of a logical game, 2 players are contesting for the prize. The prize itself is placed under one of 5 objects you can see on the screen. Sheila was privately told the shape of the object under which the prize was hidden. Colin was privately told the color of that object. Both players are mathematicians and use perfectly logical reasoning to find the answer. and either of them knows that the other was told the shape or the color of the object. The host asks them, "Do either of you know where the prize is?" The players say no. The host then asks, "Do you know now?" They both shake their heads. The host asks again, "Do you know now?" And the players answer yes in unison. How can this be? And where is the prize? Pause the video if you want to try to crack this puzzle on your own, or watch further to find out the answer. So Sheila was told the shape of the object. So for her, it would be either the red or green triangle, either the green or purple circle, or the only square there is, the red one. Colin was told the color of the object. So for him, it's either the red triangle or square, either the green triangle or circle, or the only purple circle there is. When the host asked whether either of them knew where the prize was, and they answered no, they both got new information. For Sheila, it was definitely not the square, and since Colin didn't know the answer either, it wasn't the purple circle. Colin used the same reasoning, so they both eliminated two options. After the second question, neither of them still knew the answer, and they got new info again. Sheila was left with two triangles and one circle. She knew the shape of the object, so if she still didn't know where the prize was, it couldn't be the circle. And Colin was left with two green and one red shape. Since he knew the color but didn't know the answer, it couldn't be the red one. Thus, two more objects were eliminated for both. And finally, after the third time the host asked them about the prize, they knew for certain that it was the green triangle, using only their initial information.
Brandon is the brightest student in his college. The next evening after graduation, he received this mysterious letter. The note said, "We have a job for you." He turned the note around and saw this message. Brandon cracked this encoded puzzle right away. What about you? Brandon's job interview will take place in a greenhouse at midnight. Brandon arrived at the meeting point. He looked around and saw a gardener lying unconscious on the floor. Brandon called the police. Experts said that someone had poisoned the gardener. Brandon called 3 people and questioned what they were doing today. Allie, the gardener's assistant, said, "Today was my day off. I've spent all my time at a pool party with my friends." The gardener's wife, Lily, said, "Oh my, I can't visit him immediately. I'm on a business trip in Rome." And the gardener's boss, Dan, said, "I had lunch with him today, and he looked perfectly fine." Brandon spotted who was lying right away. What about you? Lily is lying. Take a look at her hotel window. Can you see the Eiffel Tower? She's not in Rome, but in Paris. After solving this case, Brandon received a message. "Congratulations, you've passed the first stage. See you in the basement." Brandon went downstairs and faced this combination lock. Now he needs to open the door to move on to the next level of his job interview. Can you help him crack the code?
All right.
Take a look at the note near the door. It's a hint. The correct password is opinion. Brandon entered a huge office and saw this guy. He said, "Nice to meet you, Brandon. I'm Mr. Green. My wife and I have 6 sons. Each son has 1 sister. Can you count all members of my family?" Brandon nailed it right away. What about you? Nine. Mr. Green, Mrs. Green, 6 sons, and 1 daughter. The daughter is a sister to all 6 sons. Brandon's next task is to solve a robbery case. Last night, someone smashed a window in the local bank office to break in.
Oh, gee.
The cleaner was inside, so he ran to call for help. He saw that the robbers had taken the money and busted the door open to escape when he got back. He tried to clean the mess, and some glass fragments got stuck in his sleeves. Brandon looked over the crime scene. He knew for sure that the cleaner was lying. But what exactly gave him away? The window glass, the door, or the cleaner's appearance? The door frame was broken outwards, indicating that whoever was inside broke out, which fits the story. The glass can shatter in all directions. Still, not enough evidence to prove that the cleaner's lying, but his arms are covered in glass. He did say that he was cleaning up, but those tiny shards indicate he was standing very close to the window when it was broken. And, probably, he was the one who had smashed it.
Busted.
After solving this case, Brandon received the next task, to make this equation correct by moving just one matchstick. Do you have any ideas? In fact, there are 3 possible answers.
Okay, let's see.
8 minus 4 equals 4. 5 plus 4 equals 9. And 0 plus 4 equals 4. Mr. Green offered Brandon to look through some crime scene photos. Brandon asked him, "In which one of these buildings is the new crime scene?" Mr. Green said, "The closest one."
All right.
Can you help him spot which of these buildings is closer? This building has blocked out the pattern of railings on the right-hand building. Therefore, it's closer. And if you look very attentively, you can also see the satellite dish obscuring the other building. To accomplish the next task, Brandon needs a laptop. Can you help him enter the correct password? Here's a clue. It's a 5-letter word that includes 2 different vowels and 3 similar consonants. It's so strong that it can spoil your entire work. Can you guess the word? It's an error. Brandon saw this picture on the screen. His task is to spot which direction the car is moving, left or right. Can you help him? Neither right nor left. The car isn't moving because it doesn't have any wheels. Here's the next task for Brandon. Mr. Green bought a phone for $100. Then he sold it to Sam for $125. After a year, he bought it back from Sam for $150. After using it for a month, he sold it back to Sam for $175. Can you calculate if this entire deal was profitable for Mr. Green? In the first deal, Mr. Green made a profit of $25 from Sam. Mr. Green got a $25 profit again from Zach in the second deal. Therefore, the entire deal was profitable for Mr. Green, and he made a total profit of $50. Brandon woke up in a forest. He wandered around for a while and met these 3 ladies. They all claimed that they had gotten lost in the woods 2 months ago. Can you spot any liars among them? The easiest way to solve this task is to look at their hair. The first lady has long blonde hair with brown roots, which means that she hasn't been to the hairdresser for a while. The third lady has naturally black hair, which has probably been growing out the same way. But the second lady has a fresh haircut and green-colored roots, which means she has recently visited a hairdresser. Therefore, she's probably a criminal trying to blend in with the others to hide from justice. After a short walk, Brandon found a huge villa in the forest. The owner of this villa was just found unconscious. Brandon has to examine the crime scene and determine the possible suspects.
Ooh.
3 housekeepers, Mary, Wendy, and Jane, were the only people who were around at the time when the owner felt sick.
What?
Strangely, they all had red stains on their hands. Mary said, "These stains on my outfit are just red paint. I was painting the benches in the garden. Wendy said, "My stains are from the nail polish." And Jane said that she had spilled grape juice on her uniform. Can you spot any liars? Take a closer look at the grape juice Jane is holding. As you can see from the label, it's a white grape juice. That drink wouldn't leave a red stain. Also, all benches in the garden are blue, which means Mary had lied. After lunch, Brandon fell asleep. He woke up and found himself in jail. He began to look for a way out and found 3 doors. The first exit is guarded by angry dogs. They haven't eaten for 9 months, so they're very hungry. The second exit is guarded by a family of dragons. And finally, a group of guards is waiting behind the third door. No prisoner can escape from them. Which exit should Brandon choose? He should choose the first way. If the dogs haven't eaten for 9 months, they're probably too weak to stop Brandon from escaping. Brandon and Mr. Green entered an elevator to get to the final step of the interview. Brandon spotted 3 odd things about this elevator right away. What about you? The 8th floor is missing. The mirror reflects Brandon, but it doesn't remember Mr. Green. The sign says that this elevator's weight limit is 0 pounds. Mr. Green took Brandon to his office and showed him his jewelry collection. Mr. Green said, "I have one final puzzle for you. If you solve it, you're hired. When I was your age, I collected white gems in the mountains and brought them home every evening. When I've accumulated enough gems, I decided to sell them." The local jeweler said, "I'm ready to buy your gems. How many stones do you have?" So I began to calculate. I bought a huge box that contained 3 mini boxes, and 2 of them had another mini box inside. So if the huge box can hold 50 gems, how many blue gems did I sell to the jeweler? Brandon nailed it and got the job. What was his reply? Mr. Green was collecting white gems, so he couldn't sell any blue gems to the jeweler.
That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.